this video, we'll be talking about the cardiovascular system. This is basically in other words, called the circulatory system. It is primarily composed of the heart and the blood vessels. So for the heart, its main role is to pump or push blood. For the blood vessels, their role is to carry blood. I believe there are three main types of blood vessels: the artery, the vein, and the capillaries. More on that later. And it's important to know that CO2 or carbon dioxide is the main byproduct of uh, what is CR? Cellular respiration? I believe so. Okay, so this image is from osmosis. So I believe this can be useful in your study of more on the cardiovascular system. We have the mediastinum. This is the middle of thorax. The sternum, which is the breastbone, which is this. The vertebral column. The ribs. I believe there are 12 in each side. We have the lungs. 3 lobes at the right lung, 2 lobes at the left, because also in the left, you see the heart. That's where the heart is located. And we have the diaphragm. This is the muscle intended for breathing. It helps you breathe, basically. So, for pericardium, we have two types, serous and fibrous. And we have epicardium. This is the outer layer of the heart, and the myocardium. I'm just not sure. I know there is a ranking. We already know that epicardium is the outer layer. What is the innermost layer, and what is the layer in between? I'm not sure with regards to pericardium and myocardium. Okay, let's move to some of the valves of the heart. Actually, I think there are 3, but I have 2 of them detailed right here. So the tricuspid valve is in other words called the AV valve, or the atrioventricular valve. This has 3 flaps. The basic role of this is to separate the right atrium from the right ventricle. It does have a chordae tendineae. It's basically a papillary muscle. It keeps the tendinate taut. I don't know how to explain this in easier terms, but yeah, this is what I got from an osmosis video. And all in all, chordae tendineae prevents regurgitation back in the atrium. So I believe it has something to do with valves being responsible for making sure that blood does not come back to where it was after the valve has pumped, in a way. So yeah, you don't want blood to flow back. It has to maintain its proper flow throughout the circulatory system, and eventually will reach the right ventricle, and the blood will eventually reach the pulmonary valve. It has 3 cusps, just like the atrioventricular, but this time there is no chordae tendineae. Now, once blood passes through this, it eventually goes to the pulmonary artery. This carries the blood to the left and right lungs. So the keyword is pulmonary. If you see pulmonary and an artery, it's automatic that the blood is destined to go to the lungs, and it will go through the pulmonary arteriole. It's smaller compared to the pulmonary artery. Smaller, what I mean by smaller is, I suppose, narrower. And it goes through the capillary. It is closely attached to the alveoli. This is in the lungs already. And oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange, diffusion. And before oxygenation, there is more CO2 in the blood. This is equal to dark red. So the more carbon dioxide you have in your blood, it's dark red. But after you breathe, after the gas exchange occurs, if there is more O2 in the blood, the color of your blood is usually bright red. So what can you get from this from these 2 statements? The presence of CO2 is inversely related to the presence of O2 in your blood. So the higher the CO2, the less O2 the higher the O2, sorry, the less O2, the higher the CO2. So it's evident in, you can tell the kind of concentration your blood has based on its color. And we have the venule, pulmonary vein, and then the last valve that we have is, I'm not sure if this is the last, but this is the third one, at least. This is called the mitral valve. In other words, called the second AV valve, or atrioventricular valve. This time, unlike having three, instead of having three, it has two. One is the anterior leaflet, and the other is the posterior leaflet. The chordata neinae plus the papillary muscles, they prevent the backflow of blood. So, I suppose this is synonymous to the idea of regurgitation. You don't want blood to, again, get away from the organized system of circulation. So, yeah. I suppose there's a disease for that if ever the valves fail and backflow of blood is not prevented. I'm just not sure what that is for now. Anyways, so left ventricle, and then we go to the aortic valve. It has three cusps. Okay, so I suppose this is the fourth valve that we have. Three cusps, unlike the third one, which has two. And then we have the arterioles, smaller, capillaries, smallest. And then the blood is delivered to the organs and tissues. Oxygenated blood, supposedly, which is supposed to happen all the time. It's not supposed to be deoxygenated blood because it just came from the respiratory system in this part. So, just to let you know, one red blood cell is equivalent to millions of hemoglobin proteins. Hemoglobin is the one responsible for making your blood color red. So yeah, after the oxygenated blood is distributed to the body, after the oxygen is distributed, CO2 is delivered to the capillaries and through the venules, then the veins. This is the smallest, by the way, and then smaller, and then the largest in terms of narrowness, or how narrow it is. And then it reaches the inferior and superior vena cava. I suppose this is the entrance to the heart once again, and the entire process is repeated. So yeah, I suppose this is the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. As you can see, it's color blue, so it takes part in the role of veins. It brings blood back to the heart from the body. So let's talk about the kinds of circulation that we have. Let's explain them in more detail. So systemic circulation, this is when blood flows to all parts of the body system. More vessels than coronary is equal to higher resistance to blood flow. Okay, I think this is important to know. So all parts of the body system, that's the key phrase for systemic circulation. Why is the left ventricle strongest and the myocardium 3 times thicker at the right side? For the left ventricle being the strongest, I suppose this part of the heart encounters the most pressure, high pressure needed to pump blood to the entire body. So the left ventricle basically holds a really important role, and that's why it has to be the strongest, because if it's not strong enough, it won't be able to handle the pressure of contributing to the distribution of blood to the body. But I know that it's not the left ventricle that's the last part before blood leaves the heart. I think something called aortic something. Yeah, let's double check our process here. There. So after the left ventricle, it doesn't automatically go to the body. It goes through the aortic valve first. And yeah, arterioles, then capillaries, and then the rest of the body, organs and tissues. In the previous video, I mentioned about the 4 types of body tissues and organs being part of the levels of development. Yeah, okay. So why is the myocardium 3 times thicker? This is intended to pump blood into the lungs for oxygenation. So summary. Pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Pulmonary involves the respiratory system, its relation with the heart, with the circulatory system. So right ventricle, the oxygenated blood goes to the right ventricle, but before that through the superior and inferior vena cava, and then through the lungs, and then oxygenated blood goes to the left atrium, the left ventricle, aortic valve, the arterioles, and the, what do you call that again, the smallest, capillaries, and then it gets distributed to the body, organs and tissues. And then the oxygenated blood goes back to the right atrium, and then the process repeats again. So if you may have observed, we have ventricles and atriums. In the chronological steps of the circulatory system, what comes first usually is the atrium. So atrium, ventricle, atrium, ventricle. I think that although it's not formal to bring that up, it might help. I suppose it should help you more easily memorize the process in chronological order, of course. Okay, so I also got this stuff from osmosis. This is gonna take a while. I'll see what I can finish. Okay, so heartbeat, lub-dub, S1, S2. S1 to S2 is systole, and whatever this part is, it's called diastole. So systolic blood pressure, the pressure is high, it's squeezing. Diastolic blood pressure, decreased pressure, and it's described as filling. And yeah, we'll be talking about this in the next one. See you soon.